Welcome back to Felix the Cat. Today we're reading Chapter 2. I'm so glad you could join me today. Chapter 2. Blowing a Bubble. The moon was up. The sky was clear. But it was cold. Very, very cold. Just the sort of an evening when a cat likes to toast his toes before a comfortable fire. Felix hurried home and found the door locked. Great gosh, he shivered. I'm locked out on a night like this. Brr, brr, brr. Felix couldn't keep his teeth from chattering. He stood for a while, looking at that locked door, but the longer he stood, the colder it got. Well, he decided, I gotta keep moving or I'll freeze. Wow, what a cold night. What does a fella do when he's locked out like this? Felix marched about, trying to warm himself. Hey there, shouted a gruff voice. Hey there yourself, Felix shouted back. Frisky popped his head out of the doghouse. Don't stand out there in the cold, barked Frisky. Come on in, Felix, and thaw out. I always got room in my bungalow for a pal. Oh, it's you, said Felix. I thought it was a couple of fire engines, the way you yelled at me. Fire engines, nothing, said Frisky. I wish we had a couple of nice warm fire engines. Frisky crouched in the back of the doghouse, and Felix got in after him. Is this ever a relief? Mumbled Felix. Frisky, old pal, you saved me from my frosty fate. I'm a regular lifesaver, agreed Frisky. Felix edged in as far as he could. Ho hum. He yawned. This is the life. Two gentle snores came from Frisky's bungalow. When Farmer Brown marched up, his ear flaps dangling, his muffler ends flying, and his whiskers stiff with the cold. Tarnation, muttered Farmer Brown under his frozen breath. Coldest wave in 30 years. Need more firewood to last the night out. Right up to the doghouse he went and gave it a smack. The snores stopped at once. It's fire engines, Felix said sleepily. No, it's ice wagons, contradicted Frisky, for he felt suddenly very ice cold. Both Felix and Frisky were now wide awake. They looked up and down and all around. There was no mistaking it. The roof had been taken off of their heads. Ugh! Ugh! Grunted Farmer Brown, making away with the doghouse. Tain't much, but I reckon this will have to do. He's got your bungalow, Frisky, chattered Felix. Great gosh! Now we're in the soup. We're in the cold, if you ask me, shivered Frisky. Come on, let's keep moving, Felix ordered. Over by the shed. Numb with the cold, they plodded ahead, and when they reached the shed, Frisky pointed a tingling paw. Look, Felix, he cried. 10 below zero. We're doomed without a roof over us. Doomed to nothing, Felix said suddenly. I have an idea. Bend over so I can stand on your back. What an idea, Frisky had an icicle in his ear and wasn't listening to ideas just then. "Come on," Felix insisted. "You have to give me a boost." Frisky bent over, and Felix climbed up and reached in the shed window. "We gotta have shelter on a night like this," Felix said mysteriously. "Well," Frisky demanded, "now what was the idea?" "A pipe and soap suds." Felix held them up for inspection. Frisky watched and thought he was seeing things. "I've heard of people going crazy with the heat," he said. Felix went right on and blew a soap bubble. "Ye gods," chattered Frisky. "He's balmy. Blowing soap bubbles while we're freezing to death?" Felix stopped a moment to get his breath. "Balmy nothing," he gasped. "You wait and see." Then he went on blowing the soap bubble again. It grew big, and it grew bigger, and it grew still bigger. Frisky couldn't think of a thing to say. He stood and watched the bubble grow. He even forgot for a moment he was cold, and the icicle fell off his ear. Finally, Felix threw down the bubble pipe. "Well?" asked Frisky. "Now what? It's a nice big soap bubble. But who cares for a soap bubble in 10 below zero weather?" "I do," Felix laughed. "And so will you. Watch me poke that thing." "It'll bust and make a big noise, that's all." "Huh," scoffed Frisky. Felix gave the bubble a good smack with his paw. "It will not bust," he said positively. "It froze into a globe. It's our home for the night." "Well, I never saw the beat." Chuckled Frisky. "A bubble house." "Neither did I," agreed Felix. "But it's the best we can manage for tonight. Come on, let's get in," asked a black crow as he perched on top of the bubble. "Pipe down," said Felix. "We have to catch up on our sleep." "Not very private," Frisky murmured happily, "but still okay." That's the end of chapter 2. That's so cute. I hope you'll join me for chapter 3. Treasure Trouble. Each chapter is a new adventure. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.